For more on this story, joining us live from Kiev is Andreas Umland. He is an analyst at Stockholm Centre for Eastern European Studies. Andreas, thank you very much for being with us. Firstly, both sides have reported significant gains in recent days. What more can you tell us about the territory gained and its significance?
This new advance into Russian state territory is clearly designed to prepare Ukraine for the upcoming negotiations. And the popular idea to simply freeze the current front line. And if Ukraine can hold until Trump comes into the White House and the negotiations start, the territory it has gained in Russia, this will be very embarrassing for Putin, because then a freezing on the front line would also mean that Russian state territory would be left perhaps permanently under Ukrainian control. So this is a well-calculated move now by Ukraine to prepare for these negotiations.
And in your view, which side is in a better position coming into this new presidency in the White House with Donald Trump? Obviously, as you say, there is strategy behind both sides' moves in terms of taking territory, in terms of positioning themselves better for negotiations. But who, in your view, is in a better position?
Well, if you want to look at it from a sort of cynical point of view, then certainly Russia is in a better position. It has taken far more Ukrainian territory than the little territory that Ukraine has in response, so to say, taken. And Russia has destroyed large parts of Ukraine, the infrastructure. So in that way, it is in a better position. The problem here, of course, is that this is all a gross violation of international law, and the law and also the nuclear non-proliferation regime is clearly on the side of Ukraine. This should not have happened to Ukraine, which has given up its nuclear weapons in the 1990s and received security assurances and security guarantees from Russia, and is now being bombed by the same country that has given it security guarantees in the 1990s.
And Andreas, I'm not sure if you want to be making any predictions, but if I can ask, what is your prediction for what, I know he's possibly the most unpredictable politician on earth, but for Donald Trump coming into office, what is your prediction for what role he will play, what he will choose to do in terms of the peace that many countries have been calling for with the war between Ukraine and Russia?
This is not only difficult to predict because of the unpredictability of Trump himself, but because there are also many very different advisors around him with different views of this war, even with different fundamental interpretations of the sources of this war. There's still a popular narrative in the US and also in Europe that somehow NATO enlargement has caused this war, although Ukraine is not on a path to NATO, and other countries that have joined NATO, like Estonia and Finland, are not being threatened by Russia. In fact, Russia has withdrawn troops from these NATO member countries on Russia's border. So some people see this as the reason, still the NATO enlargement, as the reason for the war, and then they have very different approaches from those people who have a more rational view of it. And therefore, frankly, I find it very difficult to predict how Trump will then behave. Theoretically, he should fully support Ukraine in everything.
Unfortunately, that is all we have time for. Andreas Umland, analyst at Stockholm Centre for Eastern European Studies. Thanks for being with us.